right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Excited today to be joined, as always, with my co-host.
I am here.
He's back. Didn't scare him off the first time.
No.
Danny Ortiz, Global Director of Business Development for Cyanna Education Services. Myself again, Scott Shelton, the Creative Director at Scholar House Media. Very lucky to be here today with Ashley from Cyanna Education Services. Ashley, welcome to the show. Excited. You're an account executive for Cyanna and their EDlumina software, right? Mm-hmm. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
So, Ashley, we're going to start off with this. I've heard people call you Ash, and I've heard people call you Ashley. What do you prefer?
Whatever you want to call me.
That's a dangerous thing to like. That's a dangerous latitude, man.
Well, I think
Either works.
Now, you have a very unique last name, though. So how do you pronounce that?
Gottschalk.
Gottschalk.
German.
Yes,
so it's easy to break it down.
German.
Like got milk, Gottschalk.
Gottschalk.
The S is silent.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right.
You have to say gotcha.
Gottschalk.
Gottschalk.
Yeah.
I'm just Gottschalk. So we'll start off by just getting to know you a little bit more, right? So give us a little bit about your background. So you've worked in banking, higher ed. Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit about your path and how you got to Cyanna.
Sure. So I went to college at Wittenberg University. So that's in Springfield, Ohio. Right. Yes. And I studied marketing there. I also cheered all through high school and college, so I continued that. And after college, I knew I wanted to keep going with the marketing side of things, but I didn't really know what industry I wanted to go into. But I had a lot of connections because I am from Grahamville, which is where Cyanna's headquarters are.
Where we are right now.
We are right now. In Grahamville. So I was very well connected to the community, and the community's always been very important to me. So Park National Bank was where I ended up taking my first job, and they are just a very community-focused bank. So I started in there. I went through a management program that they offer. So it's an 18-month program. You go through all the different areas in the bank, and then they put you somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I went through that. Didn't really love banking, but I loved people, and I loved that side of it. So they placed me to be the branch manager in Pataskala. So I did that for about a year. Again, loved the people side of it. Hated the banking side of it. Like doing loans for people was terrifying to me because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing it. But the relationship side was what I loved the most. So an opening came about in the commercial side of the bank to work with commercial customers and do sales for products that we offer on that side. So I was really excited to take that jump and work with those type of clients. And through that, I met Chris Eccles, the co-founder of Cyanna.
That's right.
And we just kind of formed a relationship there. And there were changes happening at the bank, and I just was realizing, I don't think that banking is necessarily where I want to be forever, but I do want to be in a position where I can work with other people and help them. And really, I just think be part of a really good company. So Chris and I, from our relationship that we had built, kind of connected, and he said that they were trying to really put a greater focus on getting the word out there about EDlumina. Mm-hmm. And he asked if I would want to join the team, and I was super excited and said yes. So that is kind of how I came to Cyanna. I come from the banking background, but really just a people-focused background, I like to say, instead of sales. It's more focusing on people and hearing what they need and trying to help them.
You said that you took a management course there. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that education, we were talking with this with Chris last week, education is in every industry, right? Yeah. How did that, learning, having some education background and then going into a banking and then getting educated there, how does that translate to what you're doing now that you are in a full educational company, right? How does that translate? And do you see education in most of the stuff that you've been a part of?
Oh, yeah, I think that's a great point. Education is definitely involved in everything. Even at the bank, like looking back, now I feel like now that I'm involved in an education company, especially where we have things with the learning management system and you're seeing how people do their training and things like that, I look back and reflect all the time on how Park did their training and how I was taught how to do things. And I'm like, gosh, maybe we could have done it better this way. Or, if I would have known about Cyanna back then, how could have we partnered with them to make our training better as a company? So there are different things like that that definitely relate. But I think the biggest thing is just the people side of it. You know, no matter where you're working with other people. And so whether it's banking or in the education industry, it's all about like the relationships and making sure that you're really truly focused on helping that person.
Absolutely. I love that you said that you wish you can go back. Seriously, because I think that will help you as you go into other companies, as you're trying to sell EDlumina, as you're trying to answer some pain points in some of these companies. You can refer back to, man, when we were doing it, you know, in the banking industry, these are the stuff that we needed that we didn't have. I think that helps you. And I'm saying I think it helps you, but does it help you as you go in to try to sell this to other companies, because you've seen the pain point that companies need?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I will say that is something that is super unique about Cyanna too, is I've learned too, just from being part of the company and having that different perspective coming from more of the business side of things. Like, we are very focused on, I feel like, giving companies and schools like custom experiences. Like, we are not a one size fits all kind of company. So if they want us to build something totally crazy that we've never done before, like, we are so open-minded to do something like that. And I think that that's really important.
I love that.
Yeah, that's right. Because you said,
great segue.
We were talking about, you know, what made you kind of make that jump. I mean, it's great. Relationships are everything. Chris is a great guy. I love working with him. But you sort of alluded to it there already. But what drew you to Cyanna? What made you think, you know what, I'm going to make this jump?
There were a few things. So one being, obviously, that foundation of like trust with Chris and Allison Jenkins. So she's the CEO of Monte Christopher, our holding company. So the relationship that I had built with them definitely is what made me, I feel the most comfortable about it. But then after I learned more about the company and everything that they were doing, that was obviously kind of what made me for sure take the jump. I think some of the biggest things that stood out about Cyanna were that they are very progressive. Like, they are doing things that other companies are not doing, and they are very excited about it, and they're very open-minded and out of the box. And I think one of the coolest things too was when I first met the president of Cyanna, when I sat down with him for the first time, Mark Sullivan. I mean, he was so willing and interested to like learn from my experiences, even though he's been in the education industry forever and has such a good background in all of the school side of things. I mean, he was very eager to like pick my brain and learn from me. And I'm like, gosh, that is pretty cool that they're so open-minded and willing to hear other perspectives and just want to have a fresh perspective on things. So they're definitely looking to do things right and move in the right direction. So I was very excited about that, and that got me on board. And then once I just learned more about the product itself, I'm like, well, yeah, every school needs this.
So we're about to get into that a little bit, and we're hoping to pick your brain a little bit about the EDlumina platform. Sure. And so, you know, I think an interesting way of maybe starting this conversation is you're back on the road, right? In-person conferences are here. Yeah. You are oftentimes the traveling road show of Cyanna, right?
We are actually going to join you. You don't know this yet, but we're going to join you hopefully in the next couple of months.
Yeah, October.
Awesome.
In
October.
Come get some content
so
out there.
So this is going to be on the road.
That's right.
And I think so we're looking forward to join you, but you've actually started it before us, and you're paving the way for us, and you're going to give us the little tricks on the road.
That's right. So where all have you gone this year?
Okay, I've been to New Orleans, Vegas, DC. I feel like I'm missing one. And then some in Columbus.
Yep, that's a great start.
Yeah, and then we are going to Pittsburgh, Nashville, more New Orleans trips.
That's right. We'll
more
be there
Vegas
for that one.
trips,
That's right.
New York, Texas, Florida. We have a lot.
That's exciting.
We have a lot, but it's great.
So as you're on this, on this conference tour, right? What are you talking to people about, right? These attendees, these school owners, operators, staff, admins. What types of conversations are you having with these folks? What are they concerned about? What's their focus?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things that I always just ask them is, obviously the way that most of the time the conversation comes about is they walk over to your table and they're
Sure.
Cyanna, what is this?
Yeah.
And so I briefly explain all of the different things that we do, but I always ask them, like, what are you guys doing today? How many students do you have and how are you managing that? And their answers are very interesting. You get anything from, we have a software in place and we're doing great and we're happy, all the way to, we have no idea what we're doing. We're writing things down on paper and we're hoping for the best. So it's always interesting, though, to hear the different perspectives. And then, you know, as we talk through some of the things that we offer, just like seeing their eyes widen. Like one person at the last conference I was at in Arlington, Virginia, right by DC with Allison, like we're explaining all of this and someone was like, I had no idea there were companies like you out there that did this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're just like, yeah, we're here and we can help as you're going through that accreditation process, and we can help give you a software so that you can manage your leads and you can keep in touch with them and all of the things. So it's been very interesting to see how people are doing things today. And just to hear also about if they do have a software in place, and whether they're happy or not, I always ask, okay, why are you happy or why aren't you happy? Because that feedback is super important too.
Is there one consistent thing? Like, I know there's a whole bunch of stuff for different people, but is one, as you've been to all those places, is there one consistent issue that you have found? Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing that always comes up, because obviously we do have competitors that are in our space, and two of the things that I always hear are it's either not user-friendly or it's very outdated. And those are two things that, it's funny, when I do a demo of our product, those are the two opposite things that we hear about ours. Ours is very user-friendly. You look at the software and you pretty much know how, like we do extensive training, but I really feel like you don't even need it. It's very user-friendly. And then as far as being outdated, gosh, it feels like every week making improvements to what we have. And we have a whole roadmap of all of these exciting upgrades and things that we're doing to the system. So not outdated and very user-friendly.
So let's talk about that system. Let's talk about EDlumina, because folks may have heard of this name strictly from the CRM side of things. So maybe let's start there with the admissions platform. It's a CRM. Can you speak to, well, for those that may not be familiar with it, what is a CRM?
Yes, that's a great question.
CRM? Yeah. And how is EDlumina a little bit different?
Sure. So a CRM is a platform that allows you to really manage your leads. So businesses have them, schools have them. It's kind of one of those things across the board that people typically have in place. And
for
if they
their
don't,
sales teams, right?
They should, yes. And so within that software, though, you really manage the entire life cycle of either the student or the client that you're working with. What was the rest of your question?
Great. So,
I'm going to use her pen to start writing.
There you go.
Yes,
this is good. You're going to get some good information.
I'm going to start writing because
it's a notes here.
But so within the platform, though, there are a lot of things that you can do that really simplify. You are taking notes. That really simplify your life, but also give time back to these school owners who oftentimes we're working with schools that are small. I mean, we work with medium and large schools too, but a lot of the schools that we're helping are the ones that have nothing in place because they're a single owner who's trying to run all of it, and they're trying to do the best that they can. Yeah. So within it, your lead comes into the platform. And from there, you handle everything until they enroll and even graduate from your school.
Wow.
So you can set your appointments, manage your appointments. You can send messages, text and email, either automated messaging, mass messaging, or direct messaging. Documentation is another piece of it. I know
especially
we'll probably
for compliance. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we'll probably go more in depth on all of these things, but there's the documentation piece where students can go in, upload documents, complete documents, pay their application fee, do e-signature. So it eliminates the need for filing cabinets full of student information because it's all right there, and you have just a record of all of the student information and their data and
it's secure.
Communication, and it's secure. Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Well, I think you already answered my question, but I think to just kind of clarify, when you said I'm working with these school owners, right? It's a CRM for education, right?
Yes, and that is something that does make it very different from other
Like
just
like
CRMs out there.
Salesforce or something.
Yes,
right?
100%, because it is in school language. So everything that you see in there is in terminology that relates directly to school. So we do have businesses that do use it. And, we are working to hopefully
We're
have
working on it. Yes, we are working on it. I was going to mention that.
But for now, this is exactly like you said, made for schools. It's in their language, and it has all of the different components that a school is looking for to be part of a CRM.
I have a question here because I thought about it. That's why I had to write it down. Since we are innovative, I mean, that's what makes us what we are, right? Cyanna is very innovative. We are thought thinking, and we always thinking, how do we make ourselves better? How do we change some things? Have you come back on a road with an idea or maybe something someone asked that we were able to implement within ours that we didn't have before? I don't know the answer to that. But I'm asking, have you brought something back to the table that says, man, I think we need to do this or we need to tweak this? And because we are so willing to innovate, have we changed some things because of some of the stuff you brought back?
I wouldn't say that it's been anything necessarily that I've came back with, but we do get customer feedback all the time. And from customer feedback, we are always willing to look at making improvements and changes. So that has happened often where we have clients that come to us and they're like, you know what, it would be so awesome if you guys could do this. And if it is something that we really do feel is going to meet the needs of a lot of our clients, we are so willing to put it on our roadmap and get that done so that we can make the platform as great as possible for the people that are using it. I mean, ultimately, we want this to be the one platform that they're going in to get all of the information that they need. We don't want them to have to go to a million other places to get what they need. So as far as like reporting goes, we filled out reporting based on feedback from clients, and even clock hours. We just implemented those. So in our student information system, we've done credit hours, but we just are releasing our clock hours too. And that is something that a lot of cosmetology schools have been asking for a long time. So things like that.
That's awesome.
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily ideas that I have, but we're very willing to listen to what feedback we're getting so that we can make it better and do things differently.
But you answered it, because I think people, as they listen to us, I think you answer for them. There may be, a president of a school listening to this thing right now and wondering, can they tailor it? Are they willing to innovate, work with me? And you answered that specifically, right? Because we do take the feedback and we take it seriously. So thank you for answering that.
Yeah, great question.
So Ashley, you talked a little bit about the life cycle of a lead or of a student. So admissions is really, that's phase one. That's the front end, getting a student enrolled, getting them through the enrollment process, checking off all the documentation, all the forms, all of that process on the front end to get them to become a student, which is sort of the bulk of a student's time, right? Can you talk to us about EDlumina student and our SIS and, what a school operations team can handle, or maybe not handle, but maybe like better manage with EDlumina student?
Sure. Yeah, great question. So obviously, like you just said, so the admissions piece is everything from the time a lead comes in all the way until they enroll in your school. And then they go into that student information system, SIS, once they enroll in the school. And so that's everything post-enrollment all the way until graduation. Right. So within that piece of it, whether it's the student itself or faculty, within that platform, grades are tracked, attendance is tracked. Again, documentation can be uploaded. So especially like a good example of that is like a nursing school or a program. You might need vaccination records. So your student can go in, upload that all on their own. So you're not tracking them down for it, and you have it stored right there. You do record placement within there. So once they graduate, job placement, that's in there, and you get reporting all that. So there is good reporting, the attendance, the grades, and then you also still have that messaging feature, so you can still communicate directly with your students or do mass messaging, which is great if you have a snow day or a cancellation or something and you need to let people know. And then beyond that, I will say when it comes to the grade piece, we do integrate with most learning management systems, so
That's
an
great.
LMS. And so, especially with Canvas, they are our preferred LMS right now. The grades from there, it is a great platform, and the grades from Canvas will on a nightly basis come over into EDlumina. So that is a huge time saver as well, that, you know, professors or faculty or whoever are not having to go in and manually enter grades when they can come right over from Canvas. So,
That's great.
Yep.
So you can tracking student progress,
that's really good.
right? Start to finish. So I want to pivot a little bit now, because I want to talk about the next sort of platform within EDlumina, which is catalog, right? You know, selling classes, collecting payments, and offering sort of these self-paced classes online. Can you talk to us a little bit about the types of clients you have seen this work with? Because I know it's not just higher ed, right?
Sure. Yeah, you're definitely right. While we have done things for higher ed like OU, we actually work with a lot of businesses too. So we actually just the other week signed on a landscaping company. And so they are a huge landscaping company out of Columbus. And the problem that they're having is doing their onboarding. And so what we are doing is we are building out their onboarding for them. And it is within this catalog style where the new employee will go to the website, they'll register for these courses and just complete the courses. It's very
great.
simple.
Yeah.
So you can even generate a certificate from it if you wanted to. But from like OU standpoint, they have people going in and paying to take these courses to get a certificate. So that's how it would work on both the school side and maybe the business side with that training or personal development and things like that.
Yeah, because Danny, you said it earlier, education is in every industry, right?
Do you see us building out our business portfolio a lot bigger? Because I know a lot of businesses are needing to train their staff. Landscaping, you may think, what? They just show somebody. No, there's so much technology involved in the things that people do now. Do you see us enrolling more businesses and more businesses coming to us and saying, please help us train our people?
Absolutely. And if they aren't coming, they should come to us.
Listen, if you own a business right now, call us. Get on our website right now.
But really, the reason I say that, though, is especially for the landscape company, and I think that this does relate to a lot of different industries, too. They were having such a hard time with retention. So someone would come in and, interview, and they would offer them a job on Tuesday, and then they weren't coming in and starting until next Monday. And so within that time frame, it's like they are not invested. They don't care. They find a job somewhere else and they don't show up on Monday. And now this landscaping company is short a worker again. But if you have something like an onboarding process that is solid and good training and quality training that people can engage with, you can start them on that training on that day that you've offered them the job. And then they are immediately invested, immediately learning and becoming a more qualified employee. So it really is a win-win for both the person who you've employed and then the employer themselves too, because you're ultimately going to have a better educated employee, and they're going to be more loyal to you because they're invested at this point and they're learning and they care.
And you lock them in the beginning. I love that as a sales point to businesses, because I'm even thinking the construction business, right?
Yeah.
Many, there's a lot of construction workers that come in and out. If you can take, these construction workers have to be certified, right? Safety certified, right? If we can help them get all that within one platform, right? That they can just go into that platform. That's why they don't have to go to 3 or 4 different websites. We can become that main hub for them.
And that's a great point. So like this landscaping company, they were using all sorts of different training material from all of these different places, and it was so outdated. I mean, no one really cared. They weren't engaged. It was boring and whatever. So another thing, I'm sure this is a podcast for another day, but we do custom curriculum development. And so that is one thing that we are helping them with. So within the catalog itself, they're going in and they're taking courses that are custom, that are built just for them, that cover exactly what they need to cover, and they're engaging. And so those are the biggest things, and they're easy. So the person is going right to this website, they're enrolling in this class that they need to take, and they're taking it. And again, it's in a learning style that is fitting for the person.
And Cyanna helps that process, right? They get if you have curriculum, they help you get it online.
Yes.
If you don't have it, they help you create it.
Yes.
And then they get it into the system and implement it into your own existing website too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have an odd question here. What makes something dated? Because we keep on mentioning a lot of this stuff is dated. Like, what are they looking at when they see our stuff and they will see something else? What makes something dated?
Good question. Well, I think it's the way that they are putting it out there for the person to take it in. So one thing at Cyanna that I will say that I've learned too from watching our curriculum development team especially is they are very aware that people learn in different ways. So a lot of our courses, when they're built out, you can listen to it with just audio, you can do video, you can read it. There are quizzes involved. So it's very unique to
interactive.
the person. Yes,
it speaks
interactive.
to every learning style.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are the biggest things. And then also just making it like look nice. I mean, there are trainings out there that are just old, like on paper that it's just yellow.
One guy in a dungeon talking from a VHS.
Yes. So just making it look a little bit more modern and also though, like you said,
the presentation.
Speaking, yes, it's the presentation and speaking to the learning style, which we try to accommodate all of them. So yeah.
I think that's important because a lot of folks may not, well, we've been doing good. You know, we have this training that we brought in 1965. A lot of regulations have changed. Yeah. There's so many safety things that have changed since then. And like you said, you don't want to look at an old video or something like that or something that you know is like, man, this is from 1960. I have nothing. There's so much stuff on YouTube that companies are actually competing with. We can tailor it to you as a company and make it look as great as anything you've seen.
Well, and to your point about tailoring it to the company as well, like it's important that it feels like your company, like it has your culture in it and the feeling that you want your company to give off to someone. So rather than using this cookie cutter
and it has your logo,
and they're going to your website to access it within the catalog. So all of those things are very important.
That's the magic that Scott does.
Yes, he is the brain.
ScholarhouseMedia.com.
See, I had to plug it in. You like that? You like that?
I'll slip you the 20 after the episode, Danny. Thank you. Thank you. So we're talking about what's old, but we'd be remiss if we didn't just mention what's new and thinking about how Cyanna is moving forward, thinking about what's next, staying out of the outdated, right? EDlumina also has immersive. Now we're excited because we have Jeff Reese, our VR expert.
I can't wait to talk to him.
XR, AR, VR guru. He's coming up. But can you just give us a couple nuggets about what's next for EDlumina, including the future on that immersive platform?
Sure. Technology is not going anywhere. You know, we are in 2022.
Newsflash.
And it's becoming, though, where people want to learn and engage with technology, especially as kids are growing older and they're glued to their phones. Like, we need to find ways to incorporate technology into the way that we're learning. So one very exciting way that is being used is by having augmented reality built within curriculum. So for example, you could put a mammoth on this table. You could scan a barcode, hold your phone up, and then have it right there on the table. And then you can actually interact with that object instead of just looking at a flat picture of it in a book and read about it. You can have it right there on your table, life size, and see it. Right. So yeah, it's all about the experience. And then even just the way that you can use virtual reality to engage with other students. I mean, I think that that's another exciting thing that we have in the works by creating these virtual classrooms. So I don't want to steal too much of what he's going to talk about. But there are a lot of exciting
gonna make me jump
things.
into it. Yeah. Well, I get excited talking about this.
It is very cool. It is very cool. And, you know, just knowing that that's where we are going with things. I mean, I'm jealous. I wish I could go back to elementary school and learn about dinosaurs that way. How cool.
You said something awesome. If you are a school district, please call us.
Yes.
I'm serious.
Yes.
It's one of my pet peeves, loving technology, being in technology, owning companies in technology. One of my pet peeves that we still have schools, high schools. I heard it the other day from a teacher. Some schools literally take the kids' phones from them as soon as they get in. A teacher just told me this the other day. I was having dinner with her the other day. He's like, oh yeah, we take the students' phones. I'm like, why? Why not implement them? And like, that is so foreign to a lot of people. Like, what implement? Yeah, it's a powerful tool. In Cyanna, we can teach you how to implement that phone, that kid can be so engaged in that education, and they will learn so much better that way.
Well, Ashley, this has been great. You've really helped us to illustrate to our listeners what the EDlumina platform is and where it is going. Is there anything else you're really excited about before we wrap up?
But
Yes.
I am very excited about Discovery Learning Platform. It is our very own learning management system that we are
great.
creating. So I said earlier, right now, Canvas is our preferred LMS, but not for long.
We are creating
we will
our
still
own.
integrate with learning management systems, but Discovery is being built, and it is a very, very cool learning management system, and is different from all of the other ones. It is very customizable, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Oh, that's exciting.
So that is very exciting. We're hoping to have it early 2023.
Yeah.
So more to come on that. And my next road show is at the end of this month, July. I'll be going to Pittsburgh, and I also will be in Columbus too, but that's not much of a road trip. So
Gotcha.
lots of exciting things happening.
So if they want to get a hold of you,
Yes.
where do they go?
They can go to Cyanna.com.
That's
and
right.
They can find my information there. And I'm sure you guys will link it somewhere on this
We will
podcast.
link it
That's our job.
on the
It will be
podcast.
somewhere on
That's our
here
job.
too.
The magic man of this man right here, he would make sure that everyone can see it.
Thank you, Scott.
The magic of linking.
The magic of I want to say this. This is the last thing I'm going to ask you. How was your time? You were so nervous coming into
know.
the Cyanna podcast
A
room.
bundle of nerves.
How did you do with the Cyanna podcast?
I'll let you tell me how I did.
No, how did you feel?
How did you feel?
How did
Did
you
you have fun?
feel?
I felt good though. You guys are awesome. So you guys made
Well,
it fun.
again.
Yes. I just need to
You can just smack
say
on the
this
table a
was
little more.
great.
Smack the
That's
table
right.
and breathe
Perfect.
really hard to the
I
mic.
enjoyed my time here. I appreciate you guys so much.
Producer Jake is losing his mind in the background.
Producer's gonna
Always a
kill us.
fun time.
Jake, producer Jake, please don't kill us.
Yes, I am so sorry.
Awesome. Ashley, thanks so much. Dee, thanks so
you.
much.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time.
Next time.
See you.